Hey, how you doing? Thanks for downloading the show. Welcome to Garden Fork Radio. It's Eclectic DIY. Recently, I did a video about weeds that are taking over my yard, and my friend Scott, who is an agronomist, which is basically a plant and farm expert, emailed me and said, hey, I have a lot to talk about with weeds and your approach to weed eradication, Eric. So here we are, sir. Welcome.
Oh, welcome. Well, thank you for having me. So,
if you haven't watched the video, and you really should, I think. How's that for guilt? I have seen several invasive weeds that are not native and can choke out native plants, come up essentially the roads up the hill from the big town below us, and it's finally reached my yard. And I was gone for a couple of weeks. It rained a ton, and I had this explosion of bed straw, and it's called narrow leaf bittercress, I think. And that was the video was about trying to eradicate that. So what are your thoughts, sir?
yeah, and then you also had that the garlic
Mustard. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I was looking at them, and I think like they're all annuals or biannuals, right?
Yes.
Or that's correct, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, so this is and I mean this is why where the big surprise comes from is that they were sitting there probably all winter just as little tiny plants.
Yeah.
You know.
Surprise. So a biannual for people, the first year the seed grows a little. It's called a rosette. Sometimes it's a tiny little leafed plant gaining a bunch of energy, and then the second year, the second spring after the winter, it shoots up like a rocket ship very quickly.
Yeah, it's a really interesting life cycle, or it's a very interesting way that they do it, because basically they they take advantage of the moisture, and it's not as hot in the fall, but the moisture and I guess more moderate conditions, and they're feeding their root.
Yeah.
You know, they're just putting everything into the root, and then they tough it out through the winter. And then, when the right conditions come, they've got that head start. They don't have to sit like little seeds, annuals, like in my garden, of course, my garden has all kinds of little tiny plants in it right now. They've taken so much energy just to try to emerge and set roots, whereas these have already got their roots and they go. So, So, I mean, I guess that's kind of one of those things, like in the fall is keeping an eye on these things would be the first tip that I'd come up with or thought of, is looking for them in the fall.
Because I know what the garlic mustard looks like in its first year. It's a tiny little plant with and the leaves are quite different the first year, but I've gotten to be able to recognize it.
Okay, yeah.
The other one's not yet. So it sneaks up on me.
And those rosettes, they're very tough you can't just pull them. Like they're not as easy to, like once the plant has that nice stem on it, they're easier to pull out of wet soil. But when those little rosettes, they're harder to kill, I guess. So
I figured I need to, A.M. Leonard is a really great horticultural supply company. And I think they have a little it's called a pointy hoe. It's a hoe that has like a triangle on the end, and I think that would be good for getting under the rosettes and pulling them up.
Okay, actually, so that's, I hadn't thought of that, but that's, I actually have one of those. So it's pointing forward, and you push it, right? Yes. Yeah. I found one of those in a garden center quite a few years ago, and that's probably one of my favorite tools of anything. Like if I could only use one thing, because along beside my once my vegetables get established, you can push pretty close to the row.
Yeah.
And then and even in wood chips, like even where there's wood chips, you can kind of, like if they're not too thick, you can kind of push down in it. But yeah, they work. It is a really good. Because all you need, like it basically undercuts things.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can kind of cut the root deep, below the ground. And I mean, those winter annuals, they might still try to regrow, but you've really set them back.
Yes.
So, yeah. And it does work really well because it doesn't take a whole lot of effort. So, You just keep kind of pushing them out, and then the weeds kind of lay on the surface and then dry out. So
If I could teach Andy to dig those out,
yeah.
she loves to dig. She eats dirt every day. Every
okay.
day she digs a small hole and eats the dirt. And I'm fine with that. I think it kind of makes I think it makes her healthy. But anyway, if I could, she's smart enough, I think I could teach her to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kind of a heavy paw though.
Well, yeah.
What I also noticed with the garlic mustard is if you pull up the mature plant, and I just make a pile of them on the porch or something, I see the flowers, you lay it flat, the flowers start to point upward again.
Yeah.
It's still alive.
Yeah, like they're so, like, I mean, that's why they're weeds.
Yeah.
They can, because I guess, like, as long as it's far enough along, it can, without, and I guess maybe too, because the root is still attached,
Yeah.
it's somehow able to still translocate enough up, like it knows that it's in trouble, and it figures out how to make seeds, like I've seen it with dandelions. Like I've pulled up dandelions or whatever, and I threw them in the compost bin, and then I came back a week later and they'd went to seed,
Surprise.
And so, yeah, they're, I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, that is the problem with them, is that you've either got to, as you say, you've either got to, like bag them up and put them in the trash, or if somebody has like a compost, or if you have a hot compost, you can put them in right away. But even, see, I guess that's where, like, I was thinking, like, we have a municipal composting system here now.
Mm-hmm.
And I still have my backyard compost, so we just throw the stuff that you can't put in the backyard compost into the municipal one. But you could put it into the municipal one, but then that's why the municipal compost has so much weeds and other stuff in it. But it's actually, the compost that I have got from them hasn't been too bad, but I'd never put it on the vegetables because there's sometimes glass in it. So.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. They were, when they were setting this up, there was a bulletin went out to all the potato growers. And they said, do not use municipal compost because there's too much risk of foreign material. And so that's the problem. And so, of course, like glass, like if you've got glass in your soil, the potatoes, it could get embedded in the potatoes.
Yeah, that would be bad.
That would be bad. So, but yeah, that's, so let's see here. Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing, yeah, and I know that you've just got to keep an eye on them at all times. But, if you can catch some of them in the fall before they get too established, and then, take care of what you have now. I mean, a lot of it is about, well, I did have in my notes here, like a lot of it is about the seed bank. Like, like you can't just control all the ones you have there now. There's a whole bunch more seeds there. But on the other hand, they're getting in somehow, so they're always just going to keep coming back. Yeah.
I think it's going to be a multi-year process. I won't get them all this year because my wife and I would we have a couple of not quite flower beds. They're kind of chaotic flower beds, but we're like, we pulled everything, and then the next day I'm like, oh, there's another one.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, just go ahead.
I was wondering what you thought of my processes that I used in the video.
Yeah, actually, I was gonna. That was in my notes. That was the next one of the things I had here. Yeah, like the mowing, like with going like real deep down, like a hard mowing on them.
Yeah,
that's definitely going to hurt them a lot. And as you said too, you have to watch that they don't start trying to set seed at ground level.
Yeah.
but mowing them hard, and I know the tarp is exactly what I've what you said. It works, but it does look kind of ugly.
It's a Silver Harbor Freight Tools harp and tarp in your yard.
So, like, I did that one year with I was my raspberry bush, or like I had raspberries in a part of the garden, and I wanted to use that space for vegetables because it's more set up for that. And they had already jumped the fence to another part went under the fence to another part, and I thought, well, that's a better place for them. So I was taking them out, and I did use the cardboard for 1 year.
Yeah.
But it was, I'd always keep looking at it and thinking, I can't wait for that to be gone. And then last year, because I did it in kind of a 2-year process. Last year, actually, I don't think I really did much digging of them. I cut them back hard and, did what I think I pulled out roots that I could get. And I've been actually fairly surprised that it worked as well as it did. But then I didn't have that ugly cardboard weighed down with old tires in the garden. So
one person in the YouTube comments, which I love, suggested cardboard and then wood chips on top to make it look nice.
Yeah, and I think that would work. I think that would, especially because these aren't like really, like if they were, there's some perennials that are really strong. Like these would definitely, the cardboard would stop them.
Yeah, this isn't Japanese knotweed.
No, I know. So it would work, but I had I don't even know, like say 15 years ago, when we were fairly new into our property, I'd mulched everything, and the town at the time had free wood mulch. Mm-hmm. And, I was pretty happy. I'd get truckloads of it and put it all around, and it looked so good. And then the weeds started growing in the mulch because they still blow in.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, I guess it's one of those things you can't just expect you do that and put it down and then it's solved forever. Like it would stop a really bad patch, but
right, but now I'm more aware of it, so I think I can keep on top of it better.
Yeah, and I think so I guess kind of getting back to like the mowing, like the mowing is definitely a good way to really set them back once, and then you've just got to keep an eye on it, and whether you mow it really hard or like when you have that one, like a really big patch of it, you keep mowing it, and you could it's hard to say, like, like just any little thing, you keep setting it back. And I mean, I think I did see a comment about Roundup.
Yeah.
I don't know, did you mention Roundup or not?
No, it's a little radioactive on YouTube. I did use some Roundup. I have some brambles. They're like wild raspberries or something. And some of them were like wet. I couldn't get in. I'm not going to like shove my hand into this thing of brambles. So I squirted them. I have a small container of it with a little spray thing. And I just sprayed them. I'm like, this is concentrated. I'm using it in a small space. And I wore my gloves and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and that's what I do around my yard. I just have like a little spray bottle, and it's just, it's only when it's real problem, like especially perennials, when they're real problem areas, and then just as long as it's away from, the vegetable garden or anything sensitive, if there was any drift. And of course, I watch the wind. You don't spray it when it's windy. But
yeah, I learned my lesson with that a couple years ago. I can't remember what invasive. I have this little hosta area, and I was like, what's that vine that chokes the trees? It curls around everything. Is it Japanese honeysuckle or something?
Is it kudzu or
kudzu? No, it's not kudzu. But anyway, one of those tenacious ones.
Okay.
And that was wrapping around a shrub, and I sprayed that. And I could have I covered a lot of my hostas with plastic, but the leaves that didn't get covered, a week later they were brown, and the
Yeah.
plants didn't die, but it was definitely, I knocked them back, and that really reinforced to me the drift that you don't realize is happening when you're spraying something out there.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where, and I have found that too. So I just use it just very selectively. I just have a small amount. Like, I mean, I've got a bottle of the concentrate.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to last me another 5 or more years. But, yeah, I mean, and that's where I know that it's a very controversial thing, especially, well, just about anywhere, but it's, there's definitely overuse of it, but then you can't but then it doesn't mean that it has no use. Cause I know some people that, are in the environmental side of things,
Mm-hmm.
in the reclamation and, that kind of work, or, like putting landscapes back or trying to change things around. And they have said, like, there are instances, and of course, I think that Japanese knotweed.
Yes.
There are certain ones where they said, like, look, you just, like, like pulling it, then it grows even harder. And digging it is impossible because it has these massive roots. And there's certain points where it or some other chemical options are just, you just have to accept it, so.
Yeah, it's like drinking red wine. 1 or 2 glasses is fine,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a similar concept, in just about anything that, you just use it as the tool where, I mean, that's the problem, is that I think it's more so in the corn and soybean where they have Roundup Ready corn and Roundup Ready soybeans, and it's been overused. But
yeah, I agree.
And I mean, it's similar with the farms in the farming area that I work with, like everybody's used to it's the easy button and you use it too many times. And
oh, that's a great analogy.
I mean, it's, just one little story. I was with, on an organic tour one time, or like organic farming tour. And this one guy, like he was showing all the stuff that he had and showing the different tillage. And of course, that's a whole other thing, is that the organic, that's the problem is that the weed control is all mechanical. So they have issues with, too much tillage.
Yeah.
But, he did say, because his dad was not organic, but then he became organic. And, his dad said, and his dad supported him, but his dad told him one time, he said, man, he said, it was scary the first time I went out in the field, but he said, after, growing up on a farm and being a kid and having to hoe fields and all that type of stuff, to come back, a few days later or a week later and the crop is alive and the weeds are dead. He said it was a miracle.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, if you can use it, if you use the tool properly, but then it just becomes so much easier to not do the other stuff.
Hey, real quick, if you're looking for something you can do to help other people, something that's really easy is to donate blood. Yep, it's Eric asking you to consider donating blood again. redcrossblood.org. You can also check if your local hospital might have its own donor program. I don't like needles at all, but I do this, and it doesn't take much time. You should hydrate, drink a bunch of water the days before you're doing this, and I take a bottle of Gatorade with me. They have juice and snacks and stuff, but I find that the bottle of Gatorade helps greatly. redcrossblood.org, or check with your local hospital, right? Thank you. Well, speaking of tools properly, I have a DeWalt, Suburban string trimmer. I should probably have a more robust one for some of the stuff I try and whack back. But after the first, when you buy it, it comes with a spool of string, the DeWalt brand spring. And I thought, I don't need to buy the DeWalt brand string, And so I bought the generic Tractor Supply stuff, and I would loop it through, you follow the instructions. And every time I would restring it, I would turn it on, and the 6 foot of line I put in there would spin out and fly across the yard. And I'm like, what's going on? And I finally went on Amazon to look at, I typed in DeWalt string, string trimmer string. And the DeWalt string, the profile of it is a triangle rather than a circle. It's not circular string, it's triangular string. And their spool is built for that triangular style. And I read the reviews, and you can buy a knockoff with the triangular style, but the reviews said, the knockoff one said, yeah, this stuff is half the price, but it's so cheaply made, you'll use twice as much of it. So just buy the DeWalt brand. So that's what I did. I actually have it in my knapsack to take up to the house. And I think I'll be less frustrated in trying to deal with the weeds. And it'll take 20 minutes to just whack back those areas that I nuked with the lawnmower,
Yep. I mean, that's something I've learned, having done some work with organic farmers and then applying a lot of those principles to my yard, is that it's, I had in my notes here, this was something I learned way back on weeds, like when I took my degree, my agriculture degree, and the weeds professor said, many little hammers. Like, you don't try not to rely on one little thing. You just do many things. And a lot of it is about just keeping up with it. Like, if you've whacked that all back and then you didn't do anything with it all summer, well, it's just going to grow right back. Yeah. So you've just got to keep with it. So
there is something
on the string. Yeah. On the string trimmer, I wanted to say I got. Have you heard of those Ego?
Yes.
String trimmers. I've got one of those, and it has the automatic feed. So you put it through and you push the button, but it also has the automatic, like it automatically, when it senses that the string is low, it puts more out. Oh. And there's occasionally I'll notice it when it does it, but for the first, I hardly ever notice it. Like, it's just continuous string. Like, you never get to the point where you have to tap it, or like you can't tap it. It just automatically sends out string when it needs it. And It is so cool.
That's great. I have 2 friends that have Ego lawnmowers, the electric push mowers, and they really like them. And
I have one of those now, and it's I had one of those real lawnmowers, like the push, like the completely mechanical ones.
Yes, the masochistic
It was a
lawnmower.
Fisker's one, and it was good.
Okay.
But I was just getting to the point where I was realizing, it was fun at first, but I want a regular lawnmower. And the reason I never wanted a gas one was just the maintenance on it. So I was really happy when these came out, and I'd seen somebody on YouTube using them, and and this person didn't even have like a sponsorship or anything. She was just putting up videos, and they looked like they worked good, and I found them, and I've loved them. It works really good.
Yeah, when they first started, they sent me a mower, and I liked it. It was the mower deck width was too small for me. So I gave it to a friend of mine who has a smaller yard, and she is still using it. And that's I'm not being paid to say that, but they do make some good machines. So I'm glad you.
Yeah, and I have it's a small yard in town, and it takes me only about 15 minutes to do the grass. So
nice, we're geeking out on.
And not a lot of the grass is left. Like, it's small little patches of it. So the small deck is all I need.
Oh, sweet. Yep. Something we haven't touched on. Is in addition to like a Harbor Freight tarp to smother the weeds, I think you could use woven geotextile fabric, which people use for like French drains, or you'll see them as silt fencing on construction sites. And oftentimes on a construction site, that stuff ends up in the dumpster, and you can just go grab it. And it is reusable. Yeah. I mean, Japanese knotweed will push through it, but the weeds I'm dealing with, I think it'd be just fine. So instead, if you don't have any cardboard, you could get it's fairly inexpensive. You can get it on Amazon or vivor.com and lay that, and then the wood chips would work as well, I'm thinking.
Yeah, like just about, yeah, because these weeds are, they would have a hard time pushing through it, so.
Cool. Well, what's going on in your yard? What's your vegetable garden situation?
It's going pretty good. I haven't did the transplants yet, because in my area, so I live about 200 kilometers, so I guess that's 120 miles from the Rocky Mountains in Alberta. And so we have, usually I like to wait until June to put them out because we can sometimes have a late frost.
Yeah. So
this coming weekend I will. And also this past weekend, or for the last 3 days, we've had this rain. And like we haven't had, like it's 3 inches so far over 3 days. And so it's just been a real nice soaking rain. It's been windy, but it's soaking in nicely.
Nice.
And we haven't had a rain like this for years. So it's going to really help out a lot of things. But actually, so the stuff that I've seeded, I've got pretty good at getting things out, like getting things in the ground early. Mm-hmm. So I've got most of my garden, all the stuff is actually up now because I did, just before the rain, I did a bunch of my carrots and parsnips had just come up. So I weeded around them. But I have, there's garlic.
Yeah.
But that was from the fall. But then there's, I've got peas, radish, dill, cilantro, onions, and then a bunch of different lettuces. I've kind of got to know some varieties that seem to work well in my area. One that, some that grow better when it's really cold, and some that grow better or are lower, that don't bolt as easily.
Yep.
So I've kind of got like different stages of lettuce and spinach, and that's coming along nicely. So
nice.
Yeah. So it's been going pretty good. So
cool. So everyone, we're gonna Scott's gonna stick around for the after show, and we're gonna talk about his secrets for starting carrots because I am an complete failure about carrots. And we're gonna talk about the nectar flow for the honeybees here in Brooklyn, which just started. So I have some thoughts about that as well. But if you have some thoughts about the weeding, how do you whack back or keep at bay these invasives like garlic mustard? A couple people also pointed out in the comments that the garlic mustard is edible, and I agree with that. If you want to make like it is from the mustard family, so you can harvest it and cook it as well. So they're not all evil. It's just they aren't where you want them to be. Let's just say politely. But it's Garden Fork 87. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, and just because it's edible, if you have like a massive harvest of it, you can't just eat it all. So,
unless you're a rabbit. All right, gardenfork87@gmail.com if you have some thoughts about that. And Scott, stick around and we'll do the after show. Thanks, everyone. Garden Fork Radio is produced by Garden Fork Media LLC in Brooklyn, New York. The music in the show is licensed from audioblocks.com and uniquetracks.com.